right, welcome in. It is the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN. 1220 AM, 93.5 on the FM dial and online at SEMOESPN.com. Eric Shawn, Mike Rennick in studio. It is a Monday. That means Monday Marty Party, the Love Shack. Marty Mischow going to join us a little bit later on in the show. We'll catch up with him. Busy weekend. We always invite you to join us. Here is our EBOMD Huddle Hotline number. You can dial it up, 573-334-1220. 573-334-1220. The Huddle Hotline powered by EBOMD. Lead singer of the Mike Rennick Band in studio, Michael Rennick.
Good morning.
How are things?
Eric, Shawn. They're good. They are good.
Now, you've got, we got a big all-staff meeting coming up after the Sports Huddle. You've got work to do prior to that, so you may have to duck out.
I'm gonna
once we start the Monday Marty Party portion of the program.
I'm gonna hand that baton to Marty. Let Marty take it. I'm sure he'll have a lot to talk about.
He's a good anchor guy.
OVC championships and
he can anchor the relay.
That's right, he can do it.
I don't think there's any question about that.
Nope.
You cannot, under any circumstances, trust the Toronto Maple Leafs in the postseason. It can't be done. They are untrustworthy under all circumstances.
Yeah, that's what they had 2 chances to win the series. Is that right?
Oh my goodness!
At home, and got walloped. Is that fair to say?
6-1, yeah, I would say. It was scoreless after 1, and I'm not sure that the Maple Leafs had a shot on goal in the first period. And then the Florida Panthers, there were people in Toronto walking out in the second period. And then they threw stuff on the ice. They booed their own team. Man. I felt bad for Berube. I was rooting.
Will he be back? Famous fleeting in hockey.
I think so.
Well, I didn't get to keep it out. I was telling you on the way in, I was watching the Texas A&M Liberty softball regional, NCAA. So I didn't really watch much of the hockey game, and that was a heck of a regional final. Liberty knocking off the number 1 team in the country to win that regional.
So I got to be honest, I was watching the first game of the day because they had to play twice.
Right.
Liberty and Texas A&M. And Liberty hits this is game 1. It hits a grand slam in the second inning. It's 6-0. And all the ESPN announcers could do was talk about A&M. And it was like it was a morgue in the broadcast booth. Like they were defeated, the announcers. So clearly they were, call the game down the middle, man. Talk about Liberty. And so I did other things, watched other things, and then I came back later, and I wonder what the final score was in that game. So I go back and look it up. 14-11 in 8 innings.
Yeah.
A&M came back to beat Liberty. I was like, great. So now they got a 7-10 game. And Liberty's not going to beat them now. They had their shot. They're up 6-0 in the second. Well, going into the third inning, and I'll be darned if they didn't come back.
It was a heck of a game. It was they were down. I think Liberty was down 3-0. There was this really bizarre play. It's second inning, third inning. A&M was up 1-0, and there was a couple. They had a couple runners on, A&M did, and ball hit to the outfield. Lead runner tries to make it to third, throw to third, play at third. The ball hits the runner, caroms off the fielder into foul territory, and then she scrambles for home. Well, Liberty's backing up the play. They get the ball, flipped to the catcher, end up calling out the runner actually for being out of the baseline. She's gotten a run down out of the baseline. Third out, inning over. No damage, right? Well, no. Here comes the replay. Texas A&M says there was obstruction at third base. No obstruction was called on the play. A&M says obstruction at third base. I mean, you could have watched that replay 100 times and just said, that's a play. You know, I mean, she's the third baseman.
What did you see? What did the third baseman do?
I mean, she tried to catch the ball and apply the tag, but the ball hit the runner. And so as the runner tries to break for home and the third baseman is trying to go get the ball, she may have clipped her shoulder or something like that. You know, the runner may have. Anyway, even the announcers who seem to be skewed for A&M said that is not obstruction. You know, that is not obstruction. Anyway, replay, yes, it was obstruction. The runner gets to maintain at third base, another runner at second, next batter, base hit. You know, so they score. Anyway, they're up 3-0. Liberty scores a run, 3-1, bottom of the fifth. I don't know, solo home run or 2-run home run, 3-run home run. They score 5, and they're up 6-3. A&M scores 2 in the 6th. Liberty holds them to nothing in the 7th, and man, it was a heck of a game. My daughter loves softball, so we're sitting there watching it. I mean, it is fun to watch. Those are fun. They're fast moving games.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's a really fun game to watch, especially at that level.
So are you guys rooting for the underdog?
Liberty.
Rooting for Liberty?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So one thing I thought was fantastic, the head coach of Liberty, she looks like David Lee Roth's long-lost twin from the 80s.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know?
Yeah.
It was windy. She's got the bleach blonde 80s hairband hair.
Yeah.
And she's working. I did, when they were talking about Liberty and, you know, at least the inning and a half that I stopped and watched in the first game, once Liberty took the lead, and when they actually did talk about Liberty, it was like a morgue in the broadcast booth that, Texas A&M is going to lose. This is going to be the greatest upset. And when they were talking about Liberty, they did talk about her, and she's had some really good teams over the years.
Yeah.
And she said, this is the best team we have ever had, or I've ever had. And man, oh man. So I guess the statistic or the factoid is Texas A&M is the first ever number 1 overall seed to not win the regional.
Yeah.
It's never happened before.
20 years of this tournament setup. Yeah, it's never happened.
And the number 1 team in the country, the number 1 seed in the tournament, not winning and making it out of the regional never happened until yesterday.
Yeah, I bet they're waking up today still thinking, what? Did that really happen? I mean,
and their baseball team, Missouri baseball, won 3 SEC games all year. They all came against Texas A&M.
Yeah, swept them.
Prior to the season was the number 1 college baseball team in the country. Going into the season, Texas A&M was ranked number 1 in college baseball.
Well,
and those were it. Those were the only wins for Mizzou. They got swept over the weekend. They finished 3-27.
That's not good.
And I think in softball, since you were talking about softball, every team from the SEC made the tournament except Missouri.
Oh man,
in softball. Now they've had some good softball teams. They've had some good runs. So it has not been a good spring season. I don't know what their track and field team did, but it has not been a good spring for Mizzou baseball and softball.
No. Well, it was. It's a fun game to watch. I'll just say it that.
It is
at that
I'm
level.
with you.
I mean, it's fast moving. It's fast pace.
I just think it's amazing watching some of these pitchers and pitches.
I know. And you think about, I mean, they're right there. They're right there on you and throwing 60 miles an hour. I mean, it's good luck hitting that.
Strike zone for some of these home plate umpires can get a little wonky.
Yeah, I thought last night the zone was really good. I mean,
good.
It seemed pretty right on.
I
on
love
par.
that when there's not constant chirping from the dugouts.
No, you didn't see that at all.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And, I mean, we're just now getting it. Now it's, super regionals. The regionals are over in college softball, so it's even going to get more fun.
It will. Yep, that's this weekend.
All right. Congratulate, and we'll talk more about it with the Shack. SEMO men and women's track winning the championship, and with that double track championship, SEMO wins the Commissioner's Cup again.
How about that? That's unbelievable. I mean, you talk about wanting an athletic program that is elite. Well, when it comes to the OVC, that's what the Southeast Athletic Program is, the Commissioner's Cup. Best athletic program out there.
It is. They're the number one athletic program in the Ohio Valley Conference. So congratulations to them. It was funny because we talked to Coach Sawyers after SEMO swept Little Rock over the weekend, and we mentioned the fact that put them over the top. They secured the Commissioner's Cup, and he went into, and from what I understand, Brady Barkey's contract says he gets a $100,000 bonus with the Commissioner's Cup. And then I'm driving home from the game, and I'd sent a text to Brady Barkey, just, hey, congratulations on winning the cup again. And he said, well, the way I understand it, I guess I'm getting a big bonus. So he had gotten word. Coach Sawyers was pulling that out. So it's the Commissioner's Cup, 7 conference titles. It is the third OVC Commissioner's Cup in the last 5 years for SEMO.
What else can you say about that? I mean, you've been at this a long time, and you hear from people maybe in the area, those that call on the show. It's like, yeah, you know what? Whenever we have a winning program, we'll come out and support the team. Well, or the program itself. Doesn't get any better than that. Every sport, is clicking at a high rate right now.
And baseball went on that lull. 3 weeks left in the regular season. They were in first place. They lost 6 in a row. They got swept at home by Tech, and they got swept on the road at Southern Indiana. And you think, okay, man, now they got to battle just to get a 4 seed. The significance of a 4 seed is you only have to play 1 game on Wednesday. Now you got to win it.
Right.
But it's an elimination game. If you're a 5 through 8, you've got to win 2 elimination games Wednesday to advance to the double elimination portion of the bracket. So you have to use a ton of pitching just to get to the double elimination part of the championship bracket. So by sweeping Little Rock over the weekend, and with the fact that neither Lindenwood or Southern Indiana swept each other, if there was a sweep there, SEMO would have gotten a 5. But there was no sweep between Lindenwood and Southern Indiana, meaning SEMO gets the 4 seed. So they'll play at 4 o'clock Wednesday, and they will play the winner of the very first game. The tournament starts at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, Southern Indiana and Little Rock. Little Rock looks done. I'll be stunned if they win a game in the tournament. I mean, they have lost 13 of their last 14 games.
Were they set to get in, or did they have to have some help to get in?
They backed in.
That's what I thought.
They backed in.
Okay.
They were basically, I think all Western Illinois had to do was lose 1 game.
And then they were in.
And then Little Rock was in.
Okay.
So it was, you talk about backing into the tournament. But, they got a couple of good starting pitchers. They got a guy named Jackson Wells, who 2 years ago was the OVC Pitcher of the Year. So maybe some starting pitching could keep him in a game with Southern Indiana, whose offense is 1,000 times better than Little Rock's. So I think Little Rock's one and done, but we'll see. And the Red Hawks will play the winner. And if it's Southern Indiana, man, they just swept SEMO.
I know.
So, should be fun.
So 4 o'clock Wednesday.
4 o'clock on Wednesday.
Marion.
They got hit by, the tornado, I think, that went through southeast Missouri, then went over to southern Illinois, and it hit Marion. Now, it was not around the ballpark area. I know they've had some power outages over there. I don't know if it's going to affect anything. I'm sure by the time Wednesday gets here, even if there were some power issues, that could be fixed by that time. But I have not heard anything that, from what I read in the Southern Illinoisan online newspaper, I didn't see anything that it was close to the ballpark. So,
yeah, I haven't seen that. And on that note, I mean, just, thoughts, prayers for so many people, obviously just south of us, that Benton Minor area and St. Louis is devastated. I mean,
did you see some of the photos from St. Louis?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah. Just,
so I think 2 people perished in Scott County and 5, from what I understand, in St. Louis.
And those storms altogether, I mean, they're, if you look at, as they moved into Kentucky, other areas of, moving east, I mean, I think there's, 20, 30 plus that have passed because of, those storms Friday. And, a lot of those older homes in St. Louis, and just, huge trees uplifted, just unbelievable.
So we will get more into the OVC baseball tournament coming up with Marty Mischow. Cardinals, man, so close to sweeping that series with Kansas City. It just couldn't get the offense going yesterday. It happens. Can you imagine a game where you get 12 hits and only score 1 run?
Tons of guys left on base.
Yeah, 13 runners stranded, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Just couldn't get the hit yesterday.
No, couldn't do it. But boy,
I don't think it's some indictment on their offense. Now, they only scored 1 run in the previous game. That was Jordan Walker's home run. So they won that game 1-0. So you're mildly concerned as you come home. You only scored 2 runs in the final 2 games, but you went 1-1.
Well, and I think you look at the road trip as a whole. Well, you lost 2 games on the road trip.
7-2.
And you played some tough teams, some really tough teams. So there's there's a lot to be thankful for, obviously, if you're a Cardinal fan. But the way that they showed up on the road, and doesn't get any easier when they come home. Well, Detroit's got 30 wins, I think, at this point, 30 plus.
31. They're the number 1 team in baseball.
Yeah,
they have the best record in the sport. 31-16. They've won 7 of 10. They already have a 5-game lead on the Twins, who just had a 13-game winning streak snapped yesterday.
Yeah, I went and saw
that. And they're still 5 back.
I looked back at the standings after I saw they had won 13 in a row, and was like, whoa, they're still 5 back. Well, Detroit they're not losing. So it'll be a tough 3 games here.
And in case you were hoping, it's not going to happen. You're not going to miss Tarek Skubal.
Not going to miss him.
He's going to pitch game 2.
Not going to miss Jack Flaherty either,
no,
I don't believe.
Flaherty game 3, and Flaherty just avoided, I think he had lost 5 straight. I mean, he's, 444 earned run average, so he has not been pitching well.
Yeah.
And this is a team that has the best record in baseball. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Tigers have lost 6 of the last 7 Flaherty starts.
Wow.
Now, he hasn't taken the loss in all of those games, but they have lost 6 of the last 7 times Flaherty went to the mound. Now, they just did win Friday 5-4, and Flaherty was the winning pitcher. But you almost are happy to see Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
It's a 444 earned run average for Flaherty. We know he's got the stuff, but that'll be game 2. So tonight, Sonny Gray will get the baseball. It's going to be a 6:45 against Keter Montero, who's a right-hander. So that'll be game 1. Then Scooble game 2 against Eric Fetty. And then Andre Palante versus Jack Flaherty.
Tell you, that's the takeaway from the road trip. I mean, and I know it would have been nice to see, the Cardinals score more runs the last couple of games, but the starting pitching just continues to get it done. I mean, that's a good Kansas City lineup. And, you had obviously another great outing from Liberatore yesterday. Michaelis the day before. Palante was the game 1 starter, I think, on Friday. So you keep getting starts like that, then they're going to be in a whole lot of ball games. But unfortunately, your boy Roycroft didn't get it done yesterday.
2 pitches.
That's all it took.
2 pitches, and they took the lead.
I was in the car listening, and I don't know. I
double, single,
I had
2-1, game
and all
over.
Of a sudden, like the game is, they got the lead, and that's it.
He'd been pitching pretty well. I mean, everybody in that Cardinal bullpen has been
really have been
throwing the ball well. So it's a 2.67 ERA, by the way, for Scooble.
That's Paul Skeens, who can't get a win.
Did you see they lost again?
I did. That's to the Phillies, right?
Yeah, he didn't lose.
Yeah. Was that a 1-0 game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? The Pirates lose 1-0. Phillies have 3 hits. And that was all she wrote. They won 1-0. It was for Skeens. He went 8 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 9 Ks, through 102 pitches. He had really good stuff.
Man.
And they get shut out. It is bad. If you're Skeens, you're like, oh, my goodness. And I understand it's not all about wins and losses, but if you're looking statistically at a pitcher's line, but he ends up getting the loss because they can't score. I mean, you go 8 innings and give up 1 run on 3 hits with 9 Ks. You got to win that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bad news. So it's Detroit and Arizona in this 6-game homestand. Cardinals 2 back of the Cubs, who were fortunate this weekend because they got to play the White Sox at Wrigley.
No help.
SWEEP.
Yeah.
So Cardinals are 26-21. Cubs 28-19. They're 9 over. Cards are 5 over. And St. Louis 15-6 at Busch.
That's pretty good. That's getting it done, isn't it?
Absolutely is. And in case you're wondering, Detroit doing most of its damage at home. They're 17-5, but they are a winning team on the road, 14-11. Right now, the Yankees lead Major League Baseball in run differential at plus 90. The Tigers are second at plus 87. So their offense is a little bit better than it was last year. Now, they went crazy there at the end of the year to get into the playoffs and win around. So this is a good team. They've got a good manager. I mean, they've got some talent on this Detroit Tigers team. So the people who are in the negative camp for the Cardinals, what are they going to say if the Cardinals do some damage here against the Detroit Tigers?
If they do some damage?
Yeah. Because it's, it was, okay, whoop-de-whoop.
Oh, right.
You beat the Pirates. You beat the Nationals. Well, you beat the Phillies, too.
And you beat the Royals.
Yeah. Royals had been hot.
I mean, the Phillies are, a half game out of first in the East, so.
And that's with the Mets off to a great start. I mean, Phillies have won 3 in a row.
Hey, your thoughts? I don't want to. Maybe you've already got this planned up, queued up, whatever you want to call it. Little chatter about the Phillies reliever being suspended.
Jose Alvarado.
And would they be out looking for a
Yes,
reliever like a Ryan Helsley?
Absolutely.
And would the Cardinals be in the dealing mode, given where they're at right now in the standings? Because that's starting to percolate a little bit. Like, are we still in the mode of getting rid of money and looking for prospects and building for the future, or are we're a better team than maybe we thought we were going to be, and we got to hold pat? I say you deal them.
Just depends on what kind of a package.
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to get a good package, obviously, but
right.
I think they're going to come talking about it.
What is interesting is we had talked about it at the time. Let's see. Okay. Do you remember earlier in the season when, the Braves had signed Jurickson Profar to a big free agent contract after I had a great year with the Padres?
Yeah.
And then 4 games into the year, Profar gets popped for PEDs. And we talked about it at the time that, oh, by the way, in case you really haven't been following it, these PED suspensions, and it's an 80-gamer for Profar, also carry significant penalty in that you are ineligible for the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So Alvarado is ineligible, so is Profar. There is much more talk about it being also a postseason ban for Alvarado than it was for Profar. I mean, I had to read 3 different stories about Profar, and it was like a throwaway line in there. He's also ineligible for the postseason. Well, man,
that's huge.
It couldn't be any bigger.
No.
And Alvarado has been, one of their mainstays in the postseason as a high leverage guy coming out of the pen. So, yeah, the Phillies are definitely in the market for a late inning high leverage guy.
And that's probably, whether it be that or injury or whatnot. I mean, Cardinals, they know those things are going to happen throughout the course of the season, where someone gets hurt, someone's, underperforming in a big way, and the team comes calling.
So did you at all keep an eye, and with sovereignty not running, which is stupid, but with sovereignty not running, did you keep any sort of an eye on the Preakness?
I did not. I heard a little bit about what a journalism cheat or something like that in the race. Maybe I misread the headline.
What was the headline?
Did journalism cheat or get or something?
It got bumped.
Got bumped, yeah.
Got bumped, as they're turning for the stretch.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, but it was when you hear the sentence, it was a victory for journalism. Well, journalism has taken a few hits, newspaper
yeah.
and the whole. But it was an exciting finish. It was a really good call on NBC on Saturday for the end of the Preakness.
Journalism is getting closer now. He's behind a wall of horses. He's looking for a place to go, and he's got nowhere to go. Oh, he bumped hard with goal-oriented. In the meanwhile, Gosner's running the race of his life, and Sandman has entered the scene, and he has moved up on the far outside. Journalism is still running on. He's back into second. He might even win it. Here's the wire. Oh, my goodness. Journalism has won the Preakness Stakes in a performance like you read about.
It was a great finish in the Preakness, and that's a great
How about
call.
that call?
That's a great call.
He had the little crack in the voice.
That's right.
Like
it happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You don't want
right.
it to, but it happens.
Oh no, that's fantastic.
I mean, he was bumped. He was bogged down, in the middle of 3 horses, and then here he comes.
Yeah.
And won it by a head.
Wow.
I mean, it was a full head that he won it by. I mean, you talk about the final 12 seconds of the race. Here he comes. Yeah. So we didn't get sovereignty, and now one of the big talking points, and hopefully they'll change, because horse racing is a lot like baseball. They take forever to change. And people that cover it, like Randy Moss, who, not that one, he is a horse racing journalist.
Randy Moss is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, he was pretty vocal. I've heard him, for the last couple of weeks, especially when they were talking about the Kentucky Derby, that there needs to be more separation. There needs to be more weeks between the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont, because there have been a handful of Derby winners that are not running in the Preakness like we just had. And for the sport, come on now. I mean, this is not a front and center sport as much as it used to be, a lot like boxing.
Right.
And the Triple Crown is something that gets a lot of people's attention, eyeballs to the sets. And so when the Kentucky Derby winner, who has no injury whatsoever, they're just not going to run him because 2 weeks is not enough in the trainer's estimation. And Moss has been stumping on this for a while, but he got a lot more pub over the weekend, just saying they need to space it out more. So we got a shot at seeing the Kentucky Derby winner run in the Preakness, and we have at least a shot at the Triple Crown. We had no shot this year because Sovereignty did not run.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's your Super Bowl of horse racing, the Triple Crown is, so why not do what's good for the sport, good for the viewership, and make sure these horses are running.
The lovely and talented Dawn Shawn chimes in. Oh, so you're following horses now? Is that what we're... Yeah. It was the Preakness. We had a great finish and a great call. I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, but Colton Wong, just days after Matt Carpenter called it a career, Colton Wong has announced that he is retiring from baseball. Spent 8 years with the Cardinals, won a pair of Gold Gloves with the Redbirds. So Colton Wong has announced that he's moving on.
Where was his final stop at?
It was Seattle, and then, he had a cup of coffee with the Dodgers, right?
Oh, okay. Milwaukee is what I remember, like, last, but that was probably... Was that his first stop after the Cardinals, Milwaukee?
Let's see. Yes. So he was with Milwaukee in 21 and 22. In 23, it was Seattle, and as I mentioned, cup of coffee with the Dodgers. 20 games with the Dodgers, and he has not played since 23.
Okay.
And that was it. 8 years with the Redbirds.
See, the Flying Hawaiian, is that what his nickname was?
Did they call him that?
That wasn't him, was it?
Not a...
No, who's that?
I don't know. Was that a wrestler? The Flying Hawaiian?
Maybe.
I don't think it was Jimmy Snuka. It was not Superfly. Jimmy Snuka. I don't know. Benny Agbayani, back in the early 2000s with the Mets. He was from, I think he was a Hawaiian, Benny Agbayani. I don't know. Maybe they did call him the Flying Hawaiian.
I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming it.
He definitely was Hawaiian. And it was very interesting. You know how people, they want to point out all of your shortcomings on social media. But ESPN had all of their quote-unquote experts doing predictions for the NBA. And their second-round predictions, everybody predicted Cavaliers over the Pacers, Celtics over the Knicks. All 22. So the experts went 0 for 22, and it was very clearly pointed out on social media over the weekend. And the Game 7 that we had yesterday was a joke.
Yeah,
the Nuggets got smoked. Both Game 7s. Toronto gets smoked 6-1. It was never a game with the Nuggets. You give Aaron Gordon props for going out there and playing with a grade 2 hamstring strain. Grade 2. That's a month. You're out for a month, and he's dragging his leg up and down, just trying to fight with his team. But Oklahoma City just better. The best team. They set an all-time record in the regular season point differential. Their point differential was plus 12.9. That is the highest point differential in NBA history. I mean, they're just the best team.
Yeah.
And it was a marvelous performance by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Gilgeous-Alexander, it's 35 points, 12 for 19, 3 of 4 from 3, and SGA went 8 for 9 from the free throw line. He is a tremendous player.
Well, and the Celtics laid down in Game 6. They got smoked.
Man, I want the Pacers to beat the Knicks so bad.
I
The
do
Knicks
too.
fans, they haven't won anything in 50 years, and here they are trying to put a jersey on Red Auerbach's statue in Boston. When was the last time you won something, Knickerbockers? And the fans are acting like, come on, man. I hope they get smoked. Now, they're a favorite, and Oklahoma City is a favorite over Minnesota. I would like to see the Timberwolves win.
Timberwolves?
I'd like to see Timberwolves, Indiana in the finals.
That's not a real flashy final, is it?
No.
If you go just,
Even Oklahoma City, and now if it's
If it's
Oklahoma
New
City
York.
and the Knicks,
Right.
that's different.
It is. Pretty much anybody and the Knicks.
Yes.
Makes it a whole different situation.
Knicks fans, they haven't won anything in a half a century. I'm tired of them already. Hear them on Sports Talk Radio talking smack. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. If they don't win, they'll want Tibbs out. Fire Thibodeau.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're jerks. All right. And see what
It's Marty party time.
Marty has to say about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Bring him in.
Time for the Monday Marty Party. The Love Shack will join us on the other side. Sports Huddle. It's the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN. You know what that music means? Time to rev up the Monday Marty Party. The Love Shack. Marty Mishaw joins us on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline. Marty, how was your weekend?
Man, it was a great weekend. Is Mike still around?
He just stepped upstairs. We got a big staff meeting coming up at 10:30.
No, I heard you talking. I didn't want him to think I was rude, not saying hi in case he was there. Man, it's a great weekend. A great weekend for SEMO. We can get right to it.
The track and field. You were over there to watch some of that.
Yeah, actually, I went to the baseball Thursday and Friday, went to a little bit of the track, and then Saturday, spent my whole day at the track. I went a couple hours, and I went to baseball just I wanted to see the senior day festivities. And I went back to track, and, man, you talk about we've talked about this before, but I don't think there's any question that over the years, probably in the history of the school, track and field has been by far the most consistently successful program. And right now, I mean, they're just on a real run. The women have just obliterated the OVC. I mean, 3 straight outdoor. I'm almost positive they won the indoor this year. 3 straight outdoors. It hadn't even been close. They I mean, they won by, 70, 80 this year. 2 years ago, they set an OVC record. They won by like 100 points. That's a three-peat outdoor. And the men, 2 out of the last 3, and they obliterated the field too, although it was close going the last 3 events, and then SEMO just dominated those and pulled away. So anyway, it was, and then heard you talking, that kind of put them, that put them over the top for the OVC Commissioners Cup. So that's quite a coup too.
You know, Coach Sawyers and I were talking after the game on Saturday, Game 3. Name a better team collegiate head coach in the state of Missouri than Eric Krumpecker.
I agree with you there. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and he's kind of carried on from. And I think it's interesting about Eric. Eric is the coach at SEMO I know by far the best because, and a lot of the, since I retired from the paper, a lot of the coaches have, been hired since then. I've met most of them and, got to know them pretty cordially. They're all great guys. But Eric came to SEMO right out of college he was a 2-sport athlete, football and track at Missouri Roller back then, now Missouri S&T. So he's been around here forever. He was his assistant for Coach Haynes. When Coach Haynes retired, Eric took over. I'm sure that's been close to 15 years now. And, man, he's just kept that machine rolling and even built on it. But, yeah, they roll, I'm sure. And then a lot of the staff has been there. His associate coach, Ryan Lane, he's been there a long time. He competed at SEMO, so a lot of continuity. But there's a lot of great programs at SEMO, but I don't think there's any doubt they're by far over the years the most consistently successful.
And it was cool that SEMO got to host everything.
Well, you know how that turned out. Yeah, they're supposed to host the next time in 2027. They kind of rotated around the OVC. They hadn't hosted for a while. And SEMO knew this for several months, but Tennessee State was supposed to host, and they had an issue with their track. So SEMO got it, and I know it's a lot of work, as you well know, Eric, when SEMO used to host those baseball tournaments, that's a lot of work, but man, it's usually worth it because almost all athletes compete better at home. And I know Eric, Coach Krumper was saying, man, they work their butt off to get all that stuff, and not just them, everybody associated with SEMO. But man, he knew. He told me. I think I might have mentioned on the show, he told me a couple months ago because Little Rock had won, I think, last year's outdoor, this year's indoor for the men. And I said, man, I guess Little Rock will be tough again. He said, yeah, but they won't be as tough. A lot of their top athletes ran out of eligibility after the indoor season. So he had a pretty good idea. He said, man, we always compete so good at home. He was pretty confident they would pull off. And I think the women were a foregone conclusion. But the men, he was pretty confident in the men, too, and they lived up to that.
All right, the regular season is over now for baseball, Marty, and SEMO finished with a flurry, sweeping Little Rock, and they just pounded Little Rock in this series. Little Rock backed in to the tournament, but, SEMO was looking for some confidence, especially offensively. Man, I can't imagine that their offense is going to be riding any higher than they are right now. They had a 13-run inning on Saturday, Marty, where they sent 18 men to the plate. Every player in the lineup batted twice. And the guy that led off the inning, Shea McGann, was in the on-deck circle when the inning ended. It was 13 runs on 11 hits. They batted around twice. And they end up run ruling Little Rock. And with that victory and the fact that there was no sweep by either Edwardsville or Southern Indiana, they're the 4 seed, meaning they will have to play on Wednesday. And if they can win that game against either Little Rock or Southern Indiana, and from what I saw of Little Rock, it's probably going to be Southern Indiana, then they get to bounce over into the double elimination tournament of the bracket. But they had to battle to get a 4 seed, and they got it.
Yeah, that's huge. It's interesting. After the senior day, I stayed for about an inning, and then as I was driving back to the track, I heard Little Rock scored 3 in the second. And then I went on the track and then turned on my phone just about 20, 30 minutes just to hear it score. And you were in the middle of that inning, and you had said, they've already batted around with nobody yet out. And then I knew it was a big inning. And I turned it off after I think it was already 8, and then I found out later what they scored. But, yeah, they came up huge, to know they had to, as it turned out, they had to win all 3 or they wouldn't have got the 4th seed. And you mentioned earlier, that's huge, doesn't guarantee anything, but at least your odds are better. Now, 2 years ago, when East Illinois went on that run, they did have to win 2 elimination games that first day, including, I think SEMO was a 4 seed that year too, Eric, weren't they?
Yep.
And East Illinois was 5. They won the 5-8. Then they won the 5-4 against SEMO and ended up winning the tournament. But I'd say that's pretty rare. That might happen maybe where the team wins 2 elimination games the first day and then wins the tournament. I'd say maybe that. Now, they haven't had this current format that long. I'd say, that might happen once every 10, 15 years at most, don't you think?
It's going to be rare.
Yeah, it's going to be rare. Now, the good things at the OVC, SEMO's got pitching depth, and there was obviously no dominant team. So I think, now that first day is, obviously I'm not saying anything new. So important, you could have to use your whole staff to win that first game, potentially, because if not, you're done. But, I definitely wouldn't bet against SEMO, even though they don't have the best advantageous position.
Because of their pitching, Marty, they have enough pitching where they can hold down the better offenses in the OVC, and with the way that they swung the bat over the weekend, you got a lot of guys with a lot of confidence, and they've got veteran guys in that lineup who had success in the postseason last year. Kettering, Cannon, Mugen, Staus, McGann was on that team last year. They've got veteran hitters that swung it well over the weekend, and they are deep as far as pitching goes.
That's why, I can't imagine anybody in the OVC this year having a deeper pitching staff than SEMO. We'll see what happens. It'd really be interesting to see what happens in that 5-8 game between Little Rock and Southern Indiana. Like you said, man, Little Rock, you talk about limping to the finish line and just back into the tournament, and they looked so done, you're right, over the weekend. But, it is a new season. Now, I don't know if they have a whole lot of pitching past Jackson Wells. And obviously, I can't imagine him not starting that first game. But, man, I don't know. It's hard to imagine them winning that first game. But, I guess stranger things have happened.
And then it would be, if it's Southern Indiana, you've got Nathan Mertens, who was just roughed up. He hadn't been roughed up hardly by anybody this year, but Southern Indiana roughed him up. So that would be an interesting rematch between Mertens, who's one of the top starting pitchers in the league, and Southern Indiana, who, is certainly one of the top offenses. They have the highest batting average.
No doubt, great offense. Their pitching's probably suspect, so I don't know. Obviously, as long as Little Rock, no matter who they do in that first game, Little Rock would probably be a better matchup for SEMO. Not that Southern Indiana's a bad matchup, but those tournaments are always so much fun.
And how about Eastern Illinois winning the regular season? Now, I think SIUE ended up getting rained out in its final game, but they weren't going to catch Eastern Illinois. All EIU had to do was win their game against Western Illinois on Saturday, and they did. But just for instance, they went 17-7, so they played 24 games. Then you look at Tech, SEMO, they played all 27 games, so they won it by percentages, and the fact that they had 3 games weathered out potentially helped Eastern Illinois here.
Yeah, and this is probably the most in a while that's been weathered out for a bunch of teams. Sometimes they 1 or 2, but and and if anytime you play on a grass field now, I mean, obviously not every school can probably afford or haven't chosen to try to make, what SEMO's done with the all-turf field, which virtually makes it impossible to lose a conference game with the way you can juggle things around, having that 3-day window. It would have to just not stop raining for like 2 days for you to lose the game, at least a conference game. Sometimes non-conference, they'll cancel early if it's a chance of rain or something. But interesting, too, Eric, I was reading Murray State was playing Missouri State over the weekend to decide the NBC title, and I guess their field was just unplayable, so they got rained out of 2 games over the weekend. So I think they tied with Missouri State for the title, and Murray State got the 1 seed. So it happens in other conferences too, but even the bigger conferences, sometimes it happens. You just never know. SEMO's just fortunate the kind of situation they have.
And for Murray State baseball, that is their first conference championship in baseball since 1991, Marty. And as far as Murray State University, that is the first team sport since they moved to the Valley to win a Missouri Valley regular season title. They're the first.
Man, I knew the women this basketball this year won the tournament, but they weren't regular season champs, I guess.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked before. Other than football and men's basketball, Murray's actually, done pretty good in that conference as far as being real competitive. It's just the main sport they went in it for has really stumbled, and then probably the second, now football is not technically Missouri Valley, it's the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but anyway, hopefully, I know a lot of people go over that tournament. I'm actually supposed to go to the Cardinal game Wednesday. I heard you guys were talking about the Cardinal game. I got going with a few guys. A friend grew up here in Detroit, so he's a huge Tigers fan. So he'll be rooting hard for the Tigers in this series.
So you're going Wednesday, is that right?
Wednesday afternoon game. So
yeah, it's a 12:15 game. Palante versus Flaherty.
Oh man, that should be fun.
And at least tonight and even potentially tomorrow, I don't know, Marty, you may get a doubleheader on Wednesday. I don't know what the weather is going to do, but as of now, they're expecting some weather today and tomorrow potentially in St. Louis.
Yeah, I like Cardinal baseball. I don't know if I want to stay for a doubleheader. We'll see.
I don't know if they would schedule a doubleheader on getaway day. Maybe they would because Detroit, it's an American League team. They're not coming back, and they're not going to play Detroit. So, I don't know how they would handle that. They're just hoping that they don't have to juggle anything around. But there's always that possibility. So how about the Cardinals? Just went 7-2 on the 9-game road trip, and now you're back home, and you get a look at the team with the best record in the sport.
Yeah, man. Cardinals. I guess we talked. I guess the last time we talked. Well, let's see what they can do on the road, and they showed they can do something on the road. So, man, I don't know. They're playing some really good baseball. We said last week, see how long they can keep it up. They've kept it up for that week plus. So. Series with the Tigers would be good because, the Tigers just picked up where they left off late last year. They're just rolling.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Marty, a monster game. The Thunder cruised at home. It reminded you of Game 2 in that series. The Nuggets were really basically never in the game. Now, they had the lead after one quarter, but then they got smoked in the second quarter. And it was not competitive. And so it'll be the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That series will start tomorrow. We've got no basketball tonight. And then you've got the Knicks at home Wednesday against the Indiana Pacers. And both the Knicks and the Thunder are favored in the series.
Yeah, I haven't been too good on my NBA predictions. The Celtics crashed and burned on me. I don't know what would have happened if Tatum would have got hurt, but they were probably not going to win that game he got hurt in. They were down significantly late. So, anyway, I think the Thunder are making believers out of me, man. They look as good now as they did in the regular season. I mean, they've had their glitches, but, man, after Denver had that early good start yesterday, they just steamrolled, and they got such a home court advantage. They say, I've never been, but they say the Thunder is more like a college atmosphere. It's just unbelievable the way they embrace that team. I still like your pick of the Pacers, though, Eric. In fact, I think it'll be the Thunder and the Pacers.
That's what I'm rooting for. I hope Indiana gets by the Knicks and shuts the Knick fans up.
You don't like Spike Lee roaming around there all the time?
Absolutely not. And then, after we get the non-competitive Game 7 in the NBA, even just a brutal Game 7 at home for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Man, I feel for their fans. That is, the Toronto Maple Leafs are everything in that city, and they weren't. They're throwing stuff on the ice and booing their own team. It got ugly yesterday, 6-1. The reigning Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers just toying with Toronto.
Yeah, I heard you and Mike talking earlier, when that game got a little, I can't remember when it kind of started getting out of hand, but I had one eye on that Texas A&M Liberty game, too. I didn't watch a whole lot of that first game. I was doing some other stuff, and when I saw, how back and forth it was, and A&M rallying, I thought for sure, now, and then Liberty won't have a chance in the second game, and they went down 3-1 late, then they rallied 6-3, then it was 6-5, and there was all kind of tension. You just felt when Texas A&M had a runner on base in the last inning, somebody was going to pop a 2-run homer, but that gal struck out that last A&M batter on a hot, or I guess in softball you call it a rise ball. It was a rise ball, and it just blew her away, way above the zone. But it's always good to see those upsets happen in any sport. In softball, it doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but it is a fun sport to watch. Where, like you and Mike were saying, it's fast-paced. One thing that's changed over the years, Eric, I don't know how much you followed it. 10, 15 years ago, sometimes a team would pitch the same girl every day in the tournaments. They've kind of gone away from that now. Now, usually their star pitcher might pitch, in the tournament too, might pitch more, but they don't pitch one young pitcher as much as they used to.
Well, I was watching, watch the first matchup of the day, and in the second inning where Liberty hit the grand slam, they used 3 pitchers in that inning, Texas A&M. They're trying to do anything. And then once I found out that Liberty could not hold a 6-0 lead, Texas A&M came back, I honestly just thought, well, Liberty has no chance. That was their chance. And then they fall behind 3-0 in the second game. I mean, I tip my hat to Liberty, man. I mean, there are so many teams that there's no chance they would have ended up winning that second game.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, it was definitely exciting to watch. And Oklahoma steamrolled everybody. They've won 4 straight national titles. They lost a lot of key players, but they've been number one or right up there, a lot of the year. Texas A&M obviously was the number 1 overall national seed. But, man, if Oklahoma can 5-seed, well, you talk about a softball dynasty they got going.
All right. So it was Mizzou baseball, Marty. 3-27 is the SEC record, but the season is not over. They will play Alabama tomorrow in Hoover in the SEC tournament. So they still have a fleeting pulse at the moment after going 3-27 in the SEC.
Yeah, it's funny because, for the last couple of weeks we kind of gave a Mizzou report, and I texted you after last week. Sure, I said, oh, man, because they just swept Texas A&M. I said, man, I was meaning to mention that, and I feel bad because Mizzou people think, well, we only mention it when they lose, but they redeem themselves by getting swept in a 3-game lopsided series by, I think it was Mississippi State. So, 3-27. I don't know how long I didn't read anything about when they last had that bad of a conference record, but, man, that is just unbelievable. I mean, you think just by accident you win more than 3 games, even though it's a strong conference. That's unreal.
What else, Marty?
Man, good stuff. I think we covered about everything. So hopefully, and great. Hey, congratulations to everybody involved with SEMO Athletics for winning that Commissioner's Cup. I always kid Eric, because obviously they're one of the last sports to finish. And when they do real well, I said, well, I think you guys put them over the top again. But, hey, it's just as important what the teams did in the fall and, the winner. So it's a collective. Although out of the 7 OVC champions, SEMO won, the track has 3 of them. So that's a pretty good ratio.
Commissioner's Cup again for Southeast Missouri State. All right, Marty. Well, enjoy the game on Wednesday. And if SEMO would win its first-round game in the OVC tournament, then they'll be back in action on Thursday. And then maybe you could make the trip over to Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I know I'll come. If they make the final, I know I'll come for that. I went last year. I don't know if I'll come for any earlier than that, but good luck to the Red Dogs. Like I say, I definitely wouldn't bet against them. 2 years ago, you say you didn't have a real good feeling going into that tournament.
No.
In the same seed, but this year you definitely have a lot better feeling, don't you?
Absolutely.
All right, Eric. See you, man.
All right, Marty. Enjoy the week. Appreciate the Love Shack joining us for the normal Monday Marty party. Hello to the lovely and talented Dawn Shawn. She was tuning in earlier and couldn't believe we were talking horse racing. Yeah, we got a little Preakness talk in there. Rusty Hendricks is going to join us tomorrow. Be our last show of the week as we head over to the OVC baseball tournament. We'll talk to you then. Clinton and friends coming up. Enjoy your Monday, everybody.